Hey Technofreaks, Techno Odin here, back again with the penultimate part of the custom guides for Mortal Kombat 11 Ultimate. This time, we change history as we dive into the MK9 and MKX characters. Starting with MK9, all one of her, Skarlet is a character who is in desperate need of some buffage. She isn't really all that bad, but compared to a lot of other characters, she's kind of fallen by the wayside a bit, and her variations are in the same boat. There really is only one fundamental way to play Skarlet, and this will all come from the variation Heart Pierce. Both Bloodport and Dagger Dance make this variation the best of all three before we even get off the mark. Like I've said before, nothing makes a zoning character more fierce than a teleport. You are the one controlling the space with your projectiles, and then when the opponent is trying to match you, you just in and make them eat a meaty combo. And with Skarlet's Bloodport, you get just that. You can teleport in front, behind, or really far behind the opponent, or just on the spot, making even that a guessing game of itself. Combine that with Blood Ball and its slightly slower pace, gives the opponent a lot of grief. Same goes for Dagger Dance. As a not so famous man once said, "Me gusta, me parries," and we have possibly the best parry in the game. No, not because it rewards you a crushing blow for abusing the parry button like it's a Miyazaki game, where are you Elden Ring? And not because of its decent speed either. No, it's the fact that this parry looks almost too similar to her block stance that you forget yourself and go for the throw, only to eat a nice little head stab while the Skarlet player goes AFK, hissing themselves with laughter at what they've just witnessed. You do it, I do it, Sonic Fox probably does it. This move is a bastard that will net you at least one cheap parry. Then we have Blood Ritual, that just lets the whole thing down. Honestly, I almost forgot it even existed. At first, I thought it was a command grab because, well, look at the input. Nope. Instead, we have a standstill and voodoo your hoodoo all over the opponent, damaging them for half the damage you deal to yourself. Dealing about 40 damage to them, which is 80 damage for you. And that's only if you get the full whack in, so really, it's a pointless move. Now, Blood Drive isn't a bad variation at all. It has a lot of zoning potential, and she gains more options to her combo ending. Do you stick with the tried and true Skarlet combo into Tentacle, or do you go for that advantageous restand with the bloody roulette that is Cell Siphon? Seriously, this is such a great move. You get that all-powerful restand, which is always grapes. It's only a minor hit advantage, but that's just enough for you to get a jab or a throw in, which is always helpful. The only letdown is, once again, we have a 2-slotted ability that doesn't really add all that much. Yeah, sure, Blood Ball is one of her best moves, and the ability to alter its pace at the cost of meter is really welcome, but is it really worth 2 slots? At full screen, yes, there are going to be some hurdles for the opponent, but they can easily be tackled and you are limited by the meter. And it's not like you get sent flying by these moves. Only Tentacle has a hard knockdown. So, I don't know, I just feel the price isn't worth it. Finally, we have Hemorrhage, and this variation lives up to its name by hemorrhaging your win to loss ratio.
Oh, I get it!
Okay, it's not that bad, but it feels like it's for the wrong character. The synergy is just way off. Red Mist is a great restanding tool that provides a great ender for the corner, and when activated will cause a bleed effect when in close proximity to her. Now, it's one of those can't use again while it's active sort of deals, and to be honest, this would be a good move if it wasn't Skarlet's, as Skarlet is a zoning character and thus up close and personal really isn't her style. And it shows by the fact that her throws completely negate the effect as they place her too far away from the opponent. Even worse, it replaces the tentacle, her main space control move and combo ender. Then we have Crimson Shield that gives Skarlet a hefty damage resistance. Now in turn, this is actually quite useful at a distance. Projectile trading will result in less damage for you, and I have no real issues with it bar from its slow ass setup. But hey, you're taking less damage, so fair is fair. But no, the only real move worth its weight in gold from this variation is Boiling Point. This is a sweet space control tool that can be used as a combo ender and effectively makes up for that tentacle loss. It can be used close, mid or far ranges, has some hefty damage when amplified. It's basically the Skarlet version of Fatal Phantasm. Well, Skarlet had it first, but I covered Spawn before her, so yeah, you know what I mean. Now, custom variations, we have a few options, mainly revolving around our catalysts, Blood Port and Dagger Dance. Come on, of course this would be our main options. They really do carry Heart Pierce to the top, and when we replace Blood Ritual with anything, we basically boost her up the pecking order by a great deal. So what do we go with? Well, first we can have Cell Siphon for that restand help. This and Dagger Dance can be a great noob trap. Or if you want, we could go with Boiling Point and add another dangerous space control tool to our already dangerous arsenal. Or for a bit of obscurity, we can add the very similar Wretch Retribution for a decent restand, but personally Boiling Point or Cell Siphon are the go-tos. Wretch seems a little bit slower than Boiling Point, and while the restand is great, the amplified version seems to do nothing but completely remove that advantage you would have, so yeah, it's more like getting a blood from a stone with that one. Next up we have the Great Usurper, Kotal Kahn, and this Oshtek meat train is another one of those just missing something to unlock their true potential. Ascension gives old Kotal a well-rounded MKX Kotal feel, giving us a command grab and the easy combo starter that is his classic Kahn Cut. This move replaces his Metsukuya Cut and pops the opponent up for combos free of charge. That's right, no meter required. So you lose that armor breaker and crushing blow for a meterless extension that allows you to focus that meter on the big bad command grab, Wee, or however you meant to say it. This command grab has Kotal gut his opponent like a fish and raise them above his body like that scene from Tarzan, or more on topic, his brutality in MKX, then bathe in the gooey red stuff before slamming the opponent to the opposite side. Doing this grants Kotal a temporary buff that can be stacked up to 3 times, and this doesn't need the burning of meter to do so either. No, if you do want to spend the meter, Kotal will attempt to plant himself a dumbass tree, to which he throws the opponents away like an angry toddler when they find out that's not how the world works. Spending the meter also makes the side switch an option, which makes this great for a corner and possibly your best combo ender. Stacking this buff with the buff you get from Kotal's parry will just have you salivate at the damage potential. So this is another great variation let down by an unneeded move. This one is in the form of God Beam. This ability has Kotal summon the sun's almighty rays down in front of him. This can be done normal range or far range, and it will damage the opponent over time so long as they are stood in said rays. This move can also heal Kotal Kahn for however long he is stood in those rays, and if both characters are stood in there, the damage dealt to the opponent will have a slight increase. This makes Kotal's forward throw quite deadly inside there. Now, I hear you say, "Tech, you fantastic beast." This move actually sounds great. Why is it unneeded? And to that I say, you guys are always so nice to me. And it's unneeded because he already has the damn move in his normal kit. And between you and me, that move is much better. The Tonatia beam is literally God beam, but Kotal places the ray of sunlight on himself. and at the cost of meter, he will send out that beam to actively chase the opponent down. Sure, it costs a bar, but as we have already established, Kotal doesn't use meter to extend combos in this variation, so who the hell cares? Literally, God Ray is an unneeded setback. The totemic variation is less about combos and more about good timing and punishments. We start with the Etley totem, which when summoned will store up the damage Kotal deals to the opponent, and when the totem's time on this mortal plane is up, Kotal will heal for roughly a quarter of the damage he deals. This is opposed to the Tetley totem, which grants you good tea for your brewskis. Come on, I'm British, you thought I wouldn't make a tea joke. Now, as for totems, you can have a maximum of 3 totems out at the field at once, and you can stack these totems together to amplify said totem's effect. So if you have all 3 totems stacked, that 24% combo will heal you almost 20% of your health. This alone can make Kotal really hard to kill in this variation, and forces the opponent to spend resources, as only a cinematic attack will remove the totems. So crushing blows, crushing interactables, and fatal blows. This promotes map awareness on both parts. Kotal needs to keep away from those interactables to make sure those totems are safe, and the opponent needs to know which of these interactables are cinematic and where they are and how to pull them off. Next we have Takuni Maul, one of my personal favourite moves of Kotal's variations and the series itself. This full screen charge attack has Kotal feel his animality as he becomes an armour-cladded jaguar. On hit, this will smash the opponent flying before pouncing on them and going all David Attenborough Nat Geographic on their ass. The move is kind of unsafe on block, but all in all it's a great corner carry, even if you do arrogantly walk just beyond default distance to finish. When you amplify the move, Kotal will become immune to projectiles because his zone game, he'll deal more damage and the attack itself becomes just safe on block. This immunity is absolutely hilarious when you realise that there is someone else on the other side of that screen looking completely perplexed at why the pew pew didn't actually hit you. Finally, there's Takuni Pounce, the lesser of the 3 once again. And it's not a bad move. It's basically a mix of the maul and a dive kick. It has all of the maul's traits, death on block, but immune to projectiles and safe when amplified. The problem is, as a dive kick itself, it's pretty lame. It switches sides, offers little to no hit advantage, and the arc makes the range pretty poor. Really, we could remove this and you wouldn't even notice. Finally, we have Bullock, and this is the straight up setup variation, sacrificing combo potential for safety and buffs. The safety comes in the form of Grand Discus. This grants Kotal the ability to amplify his Yayekami disc to make an already safe move straight up neutral. Again, since Kotal doesn't need the meter outside of specific moments, this is basically a get out of jail free card. Then we have our second totem, the Amoquali totem, which is technically the primary totem, as this takes the down back input's priority. This totem's effect is a straight up damage buff that once again stacks up to 3 times, and again when combined with Kotal's parry, you can get some major damage that makes his lack of combo potential in this variation completely irrelevant. Finally, we have our last totem, the Teotika totem, and to be honest, I'm kinda on the fence with this one. This is the yin to Amoquali's yang. Where Amoquali provides aggression, Teotika provides fortification. What I'm trying to say is, it's a defense buff. Stacks up to 3 times, which can mean a lot, but then there's this neat trait with the totems that I haven't mentioned yet, and that is you can choose to stack both totems together. Now you can only have 3 totems out at a time, so it's always going to be a 2-to-1 ratio, but that is enough. Just 1 attack and 1 defense stack can be the difference between life and death, and it rewards that methodic play. So really, we actually have 3 decent variations that can each hold their weight, but they aren't Kotal's true potential. And with that, we have a plethora of ways to make Kotal dangerous. We have the common route of improving Ascension by replacing Godray with the Amaquali Totem, improving that damage even more and granting them easy combos. Or you could add the Healing Totem instead to just stay in the fight longer. We could also try the Kombat NYC branch of the variation by replacing either the Kahn Cut or the Totem for Grand Discus, so we have that super safe block string, and trust me, it can be very useful. But those are other people's playstyles, and you know me, I like to add my own 2 cents to the mix, and what move do I like the most? That's right, Takuni Maul. Sticking with the same idea as Kombat, I like to replace either the Totem or Kahn Cut for this little beauty. By replacing the Totem, you have an easy starting combo that carries the opponent right into the corner and within forward 2 distance. So if they are caught mashing, that's a free Hui Hui combo for you. On the flip side, we take back our armor breaking Metaquia Cut and go for easy totem powered damage, as the Maul does some decent damage in its own right. Then we still have the command grab and gain that counter to breakaways, fatals and jump-ins, since Metaquia Cut's initial crushing blow requirement is to catch the opponent in the air. Seriously, these are so many good options that will have you back on the throne where Kotal rightfully belongs. Next is everyone's favourite character killer, D'Vorah. And I'll be honest, she's kind of another Skarlet. There isn't really that much variety to play with. Some abilities feel like they should be in a normal kit, and others just feel too weak. Buzzed is one of those variations. Parasite grants D'Vorah extra strings, each loaded with crushing blowy goodness. The string Parasite itself loads that crushing blow on punish or counter, giving you a near 30% punish on those unsafe specials. Now the combo string itself switches sides, so this can be used great for getting out of the corner. Going on to the lesser strings of the ability, the Recluse string's crushing blow is loaded up by only the final hit connecting. And sure, it's decent damage, but it's one of those you could probably miss. And the final string, Zest, grants you an overhead and will probably be the crushing blow you will rarely see, as it requires the opponent to be blocking late. But that overhead is a nice little option to have. To me though, it's not worth an ability slot. Sure, she gains 3 crushing blows, but in most cases the Parasite string is the only one worth a damn. And when you have characters like Raiden, Kitana and Spawn with the exact same crushing blow requirements in their normal kits, alongside the fact that D'Vorah has no real crushing blows otherwise, makes me think it would be better just removing it as an ability and just giving us that one string in her normal options. And yeah, the rest of the moves are okay, but they aren't much. Ticking Time Bug can have a decent space control with that 3 range options, and that slow rising bug can be a bit of a hurdle to time your jumps. The main downside is that slow recovery and the fact that it has to be done in the air, which is a lot of time consumption. Strepsiterra is a much better option, and it's more of a pressure tool where D'Vorah gives birth to a bug who gives birth to another bug, and that bug flies to the opponent and
Smash it with a hammer!
I'm going to really have to check up on my editor. This birthception does take a bit of time, however, and the range leaves a lot to be desired, so correct timing to keep that pressure on is a must. Next we have Arachnophobia, my least favourite phobia. This variation stays true to its namesake through her 2-slotted ability, Widow's Kiss. This move is basically Batgirl's teleport from Injustice. Annoying. While unsafe on block, it is one of the best teleports in the game, being able to delay the timing to play that little bit of mind games. When amplified, D'Vorah will wrap up the opponent like your dad's favourite TV series. What? This allows for some decent combo options with a wide variety of finishes for the situation. Want to keep the pressure up? Ground Swarm. Want to do the most damage? Use Infested. Or do you want to restand the opponent or counter that breakaway? You use Swarm, which in turn will also segue into our final ability of this variation, Deadly Swarm. How this move works is by landing certain abilities. For this variation's case, this would be Fireflies and Swarm. All 5 of Devora's wasps will move one by one over to the opponent and buzz around them until called back. When they are called back, each bug will damage the opponent at 30 health per bug, which if all bugs are out, it's kind of like a free throw. However, this isn't unblockable damage, but even then, the chip is quite nice. And after seeing some Devoras in tournaments take rounds with this move, it's a decent option and makes this her best vanilla variation. The only downside is the wasps don't stun the opponent, but then that would be kinda silly. Free damage and a combo starter if the opponent didn't block? Okay. But it is still a great pressure tool option, as the recovery is pretty fast, and if the opponent doesn't want 150 damage traded for their turn, they will need to block, giving you another turn to open them up. Seriously, best variation. Finally, we have Creepy Crawler, and this is another decent option for mix-up and pressure, and earns the silver medal thanks to the moves Bombardier Beetle and Flipping Out. Bombardier Beetle is a mirror option to Strepsiterra. They both use the same input and are both the main pressure tools for their variations. However, this one is a bit more instant, and in my mind might be the better option. The Beetle attack is perfectly timed that they can't really delay the wake up. The only things they can do is jump out, which will prime them for an anti-air infested, or go for the wake up attack itself, because that is the only way they can get rid of these bugs. And that is only if they connect with you. If they whiff and the Beetle punishes, that's another full combo setup. When amplified, yes it does that too, the Beetle will crawl and act as a low attack, giving Devora a nasty mix-up game in the process. Flipping Out offers a great overhead option from both ground and air. The move is similar to Sindel's Whip and Flip and can act as a great 50-50 mix-up, as landing 2 in quick succession primes a crushing blow that pops the opponent up for combos. It's unsafe on block, but that's not going to mean much with Devora's playstyle. Sadly, this variation is completely let down by Flyby. This move is another air travel move and has some decent range, but everything else makes my skin crawl worse than travelling around that hive in the crypt. I hate fire-breathing spiders. It is probably the worst air mobility move I have seen so far. You can't do the standard double air punch combo because the animation is so long, though it does carry them quite a fair distance to the corner, so there's that, but nah, it's just not for me. No surprise, most of our custom variations are going to be revolving around Widow's Kiss, because once again, this is our carrying catalyst. You don't even need to be good with Devora to get something from it. Hell, most of Devora's offense consists of sweeps, forward 3s, and back 3-4s. So specials are just a bonus, and when you have such an easy combo starter, all you need is the right ender that makes you feel comfortable. Now, there is the Honeybee variation of Widow's Kiss and Strepsiterra, which adds that block pressure setup, though personally I probably prefer Bombardier Beetle. You can have Flipping Out for more overheads and crushing blows. Hell, Parasite is a great option here for that as well. But I like my oddball against the grain kind of feels. So let's just replace Flyby with Parasite from the Creepy Crawler variation. This has been my favourite way to play Devora. You can easily combo already with her amplified Ground Swarm, and having her fundamental 50-50s in hand and adding the crushing blows to an already strong pressure game is a bit of a no-brainer, and we'll see that this Boogie Queen will keep killing our fan favourites till she is as hated as King Corbin. Now, from one controversial entity to another, Jacqui is another character with some okay variations, but one just trumps the rest. Which is a shame because she has some interesting stuff. Starting with the first round KO, this makes Jacqui a straight up Tekken character, adding feints and throw tech punishes to a really rewarding special attack. Cybernetic Override allows Jacqui to feint some of her most commonly used strings and add some mind games to almost everything she does. It's effectively taking already safe moves and making them even safer, which will keep the opponent guessing. Lethal Clinch is a pseudo command grab similar to her dear old daddy's gotcha grab. In fact, this is her version of it. Just like Jack's, this move has a bunch of options. You have the clinching knee, the double knees, the side switching belly to back suplex, which looks more like a gut wrench suplex from a powerbomb position, come on do better Netherrealm, and finally the elbow drop, which if you have used all the other options I just stated before this one, you will gain a crushing blow that pops the opponent up for combos. My biggest complaint is that this isn't a true command grab, so you're going to have to hit confirm it, but it's a great combo ender and combo converter, and one I just really like. Now this variation is either kind of let down or syncs really well depending on how you look at this next ability, and that is Robo Grappler. This allows Jacqui to do something I have never seen anyone do in this game so far, and believe it's completely unique to this character, and that is she is allowed to amplify a throw tech. So when you guess the opponent's throw right and tech out of it, pressing the amplification button will allow Jacqui to reverse it into a throw of her own. And there are two variants to this. Just pressing the amplified button normally will have Jacqui do a standard armbar, while pressing the amplification button and either 3 or 4 will have her do a knee lock that looks like she's trying to relieve the opponent's leg cramp but goes a bit too far, and if you have already done the armbar beforehand, this leg decramper will go extremely far and result in a crushing blow. The thing is, I don't feel that this is all that great. On paper it sounds really powerful. Punish a throw and make the opponent wary of using it again, but it has issues. One, it requires you to be really good at teching throws consistently, which I'll be honest, I'm not all that good at. And there were times where I missed the window because I wasn't expecting a throw tech, which is easily done. Two, which is probably the worst thing, is the opponent can tech out of your punish, because it's still classed as a normal throw. So if they have read you correctly and tech out of it, you have burned meter for the same neutral you would have already had if you had just stuck with the normal tech. And now you are in a worse situation because you are a bar down. So realistically, this is actually a nuclear deterrent. You have it, the opponent knows you have it, but you don't want to use it. You just want the fact that you could use it to deter the opponent from using their options, which I feel kind of just lets the variation down. Now next gen is one of those odd mashup of moves that kinda synergizes, but really there's only one move that you would ever want in your arsenal here, and that's Grenade Launcher. This precious stone is an extremely useful projectile that replaces Jacqui's Shrapnel Blast. This fires out a ball of plasma that ignites whoever or whatever it hits, creating a damage over time effect. This also stacks, as if the now burning opponent stands on the now burning area on the floor, they take both sets of damage. And this situation can also be set up super easy, barely an inconvenience. Oh really? Yeah, all they have to do is finish with that up blast and amplify, and boom, all done. So this kind of makes this pitch meeting gag kind of irrelevant. Whoops, whoopsie. Really need to fire my writer. Really, this move carries the variation, as the other two are sort of meh. Tech Dome is the more required of the two, as it reduces special move damage, which to be honest, isn't really great. It's more the fact that she needs this move to load up her throw's crushing blow, which, to be honest, I physically hate these kind of moves. I strongly believe that crushing blows and brutality requirements should not rely on variation-specific abilities that have nothing to do with the move the crushing blow or brutality is connected to. Really, if these abilities' only purpose is to grant another ability's crushing blow, it's a waste of a slot, which, yeah, this is. Then we have Dive Bomb, and I actually think this is a worse offender. Sure, there isn't much wrong with it now. Since the addition of armor breakers, it has more of a use outside of a glorified dive kick. But even then, there is a better armor breaker for her in the unused Hyper Knee. And for a while, this was it. This was all Jacqui was capable of. But then we got the third variations, and Jacqui's popularity skyrocketed, and the variation responsible for that was upgraded. This was the ultimate Jacqui at the time, with high mobility and mix-ups, and it still holds its own today. Bionic Bounce is the best air mobility move, hands down, allowing Jacqui a free leap into the air at any point in time. With, at the cost of defense bar, she can leap 3 different distances: standard, close, and far, with close and far being the ones that cost actual meter. This can act as both a mix-up or get-in tool, as the far bounce is pretty much full screen, and with the right timing, punishes those pesky projectiles. Accompanying this beast is another beast in Enhanced Air Blast. This adds the ability to amplify Jacqui's Air Blast, so that she can hover for a moment, allowing her another aerial offense attack. Think Sindel's Banshee Blast, but she can do it again as one of the options. This makes Jacqui one of the top aerial combatants in the game, as if she needs to, she can burn both bars to keep her block pressure up. Finally, we look at the third deadly head of this Netherrealm Cerberus, or King Ghidorah if you like you some kaijus, and that is Ground Pound. Unlike dear old daddies, Jacqui's Ground Pound is done from the air, making it synergize perfectly with the other 2 abilities. Seriously, whoever came up with this variation really wanted this character to get that Melina level of popularity, because this variation is one of the most perfect combination of moves you can have. Ground Pound itself is a low, so adds a bloody 50-50 to all of your aerial options. Jump-ins, hops, the bounce, and the air blast all have an overhead to low mix-up option. The only downside is it's hella unsafe and leaves you way too close on block, even when amplified, which sorta makes it this King Ghidorah. But still, this variation put Jacqui on the map, and this will be our catalyst for the most part. So we'll be removing Ground Pound as it was the weakest link, and we will be replacing it with whatever the hell we want. Lethal Clinch for the extra combo potential and ender, Hyper Knee because a crushing blow that is triggered by finishing a 7+ combo or breaking armor is just nuts. Even Cybernetic Override can sharpen this beast's claws. But if we want the real Mecha King Ghidorah feel, we go with Grenade Launcher. This is Jacqui's true form. You have an extremely good air game with damage over time and a better chance to land the air blast because now it's a projectile. And that is all you need to know about it. But if you are not of the jumping beam variety and you want to play that more grounded level, just alter one-hit KO and add the Hyper Knee instead of Robo Grappler. You have all the strong components of that variation alongside a very powerful armor breaker / combo ender. And again, if you don't like the feel of the cancels, replace that with Grenade Launcher and boom, now you have a character that's all about that pride and hype. Our penultimate character is Cassie, and bloody hell this character was hard to get into. I don't know what it was, but her variations all seemed a bit lackluster to me. Digital Soldiers seem pretty decent for combos thanks to kneecapping, a low profile mid-hitting projectile, that when amplified pop the opponent up into the earth for the perfect restand combos. But to be honest, it's more of a zoning variation in the end, using kneecapping as your main projectile and mixing it with your normal pistol shots and air bullet barrage. An aerial pistol shot that when amplified will have Cassie land into an initial kneecapping the shot. It's a great tool when done in hop, but one of those moves that can be easily forgotten about, and then we just go downhill from there with flipping out. So to get a rough feel of the move, I want you to close your eyes and first imagine Sindel's whip and flip. Now imagine it's kind of what? And there you go, flipping out everybody. Let's give it a round of applause. Like, I feel it doesn't know what it actually is. It's sort of safe yet sort of unsafe depending on what part of the move hits where, and it doesn't really add much either way. Honestly, it's just bad. Then we have Yas Queen, and the first thing I did was look up what a Yas Queen was. And according to Google, it's a popular LGBTQ+ term used for when someone, I quote, kills it. Which makes me wonder why this variation got the name in the first place. I know at one point Sonic Fox was killing it with Yas Queen, but I just feel this variation is lackluster. Its main premise is unbreakable damage thanks to the ability BLB 11T8 Energy Burst. This has Cassie use her drone to send out a concussive blast around it that when amplified stuns the opponent for a combo. The problem is the window is really tight and a lot of Cassie's normal moves are kind of slow. Thus you have to sacrifice damage for efficiency. Now you can land her launcher combo from this, but it is what we call a one-frame linker, meaning your timing has to be extremely precise to pull it off. Too fast and the string won't come out, too slow and they'll easily block it. It's very unforgiving, which makes the fact that it's 2 freaking slots a cardinal sin. I honestly have no clue why this is 2 slots. Help, other characters get way better combo options than this for free. This move is then paired with shoulder tackle, probably one of the best combo enders in her arsenal. It also has a crushing blow, but it's another one of those loaded by blocking late triggers, so may as well not even bother. My first impression is Cassie felt like another Jacqui, so I thought that at least her third variation would get me feeling that this would be her best variation. And I think so? Don't get me wrong, Sup's OD is nowhere near its namesake, and between you and me, before I even picked her up, I put all 3 moves as a custom idea before realizing that it was actually this variation. So yeah, my mind is kind of on the same wavelength here, so it is a decent variation with a strong pressure game. Flying Glow Kick is your girl's armor breaker for the evening and triggers that crushing blow by counter or punish or breaking said armor. It's a little slow on the start, but you zip right down the arena, making it land that counter or punish more often than you actually think. It's pretty much Liu Kang's flying kick, but with a better crushing blow requirement. Now there is no amplification, but you don't really need one. You're only using this move for those counters, breakaways, or YOLO fatals. BLB 11T8 Advance is another aerial movement option. There are 2 variants to this, Advance and Escape. No need to tell you which direction they go. Now the big common misconception is that this ability is a great mix-up tool. Sure, it switches sides, but a simple jab will knock her right out of it for a full punish. Still, it is a decent move and can punish reckless players. But we're saving the best for last, and that is BLB 11T8 Energy Bounce. This is a really good low projectile that kind of acts like Scorpion's fireball ability, only you recover way before the orb lands. This again can be done close, normal and far, and is perfect for that Oki or wake up option. End the combo with this and they have to either block, jump out or spend meter to get out safely, making this your condition tool. They start respecting this move and you win. The only real downside is this move clashes with kneecapping, so if you want combos in your customs, you will have to go for a predictable launcher from back 1, or BLB 11T8 Burst. This is one of her best variations, and if you are able to pull off the one frame link, you have an extremely perfect setup for that playstyle. But really, we want to be great. We want to completely kill it, don't we? Well, if we're going to do that, we need kneecapping. This is your main combo starter and your main projectile option. I also think having that armor breaking punishing glow kick is a must as well, because it's just free damage if the opponent does something stupid. And with great timing, the two moves can link up perfectly against a late breakaway, so practice as hard as you can. Now, with our catalysts, we can add whatever the hell we want. Shoulder charge for the ender, advance and evade for the mobility, but what I found myself loving is BLB 11T8 Burst's rebellious sister, the Bitchin' Bubble. This is a proximity based damage over time field that will dissipate if Cassie is hit, but not if she blocks the attack. And trust me, that little difference is a big thing. It is a little slow in the recovery, but the distance they are sent by the precursor string kind of evens it all out. Seriously, this variation of Cass is definitely a yes. Last but by no means least, we have Erron Black, and Erron is one of the most deep and complex characters I have ever seen, with variations rich and full of "you're just doing forward 4 in the slide, aren't you?" Make guides, they said. But seriously, Erron's playstyle consists of 30% utilising variation abilities, and the rest is all forward 4 and slide mix-ups. It's super basic, but that's sort of the cowboy way. There's not really anything about flash and flare, it's more about precision and direction. 52 card pickup is more about that combo and zone game, adding a variety of options to his locked and loaded stance. The key one being the ability to cancel the stance after an attack by holding the up button during said animation. This makes Rising Stock a full combo starter and a free one at that, allowing you to focus your meter on your slide or the Scud shot. Another beauty of a move that has Erron take that old quick draw stance like it's high noon at a John Wayne movie, to which he will shoot down whatever projectile comes his way. Because your zone game, Pilgrim, this can be held down long enough to trump any projectile in the game. I'm not joking, the level of projectiles being shot out of the sky is crazy. Shiva's Dragon Stance, Slain, Batsy's Pew Pew, a joke. Even Rambo needs to run full akimbo M60s to actually beat the Saloon Slinger. Seriously, look at this. When amplified, Erron will perform a quick draw shot that will actually damage the opponent. Up close it appears unsafe on block, but it has some pushback that negates any punish. This also seems to work well as a string cancel on block, as 1, the amplify will leave you safe anyway, and 2, the normal's recovery seems to lessen the opponent's punish. So yeah, great moves. Then we have Outworld Gunslinger, and this ability is actually my least favourite of its archetype. This is another extra combo strings ability, but to be honest, none of the strings really add anything. No crushing blows, no combo potential, hell, you can't even cancel the strings at all. All this adds is a very odd zone game potential, and it's just not worth the slot to me. Now, Barking Irons is much more up my alley, having a true command grab in Cattle Toss. This move, similar to its MKX predecessor, has Erron take his opponent to the floor and unload a ton of lead into them. Only difference is this version switches sides. When amplified, Erron will pull out a stick of dynamite, ignite it with the shot, and then, well, this move is really useful. It has a tick throw from your forward 3, which is one of Erron's main and safest openers. And it synergizes well with Erron's amplified slide, netting you a great load of damage with the right positioning. the same as it would do with Erron's throws. So long as the opponent's hitbox is touching the spit puddle, they will take all that lovely spit damage. The only downside is the best string to connect this from, at the door, is absolutely finicky. The timing on that last hit is really tight, and it will only connect if that last hit lands. And since the string is a committed dial-up, even worse, his ultra dialer combo has no tick throws in it at all, which is really depressing when the fact that Jax gets 2 in the same style of string. Next we have the enhanced rattlesnake slide, which gives Erron the ability to cancel his slide and running bootski mid-run. This gives that 50-50 its own little 50-50, so we're looking at a 25-25 or however fractions work. And that isn't bad. It adds more mind games to the bootski slide mix-up and allows you that fake out for those throws. And better, it removes that risk from a blocked keep 'em honest into the slide combo, which will take the opponent a moment to realise he's been duped as you go for the throw. Once again, we have a decent setup ruined by one ability, this time in the form of TNT. Now this isn't a bad move on paper. It does decent damage, has 2 hilarious brutalities, and most importantly, it has a presence when it's out in play. Because of that long timer, it has a sense of I must keep an eye on where that TNT is, which you can use to your advantage, and amplifying will add an extra amount of stun as you shoot them. The big problem is it replaces his Zataran spit, the only other way to get that spit puddle on the field without spending meter, which, as we have stated, that puddle just ups Erron's game tenfold. So now only being able to rely on a metered slide to get it out is a little damaging. Finally, we have Locked and Loaded, your final spaghetti western for the evening, and this is another okay build, but one move just outshines the other, and that is Acid Paw. This is a fast mid-hitting attack that is also his armor breaker with a crushing blow for breaking said armor, so you know this is already a loved one. However, its initial requirement is that you land the attack while the opponent is in the spit pool. So for Erron, this is one of the easiest crushing blows to get. When amplified, Erron will pour another vial of spit on the opponent's head, which if I think about it, it's actually quite funny that you have to amplify the move to get its actual namesake. Now once again, the spit pool is golden here, as when you've used up your crushing blow, you can still churn out a big chunk of damage amplifying the move inside that pool. The main downside is it conflicts with Kotal Toss, but that's not a big one. Really, it's going to be a pick your poison kind of thing anyway. Sadly, the whole variation is let down by Nether Beast Trap. This has Erron lay down a burr trap that if the opponent steps on it, it's a free combo. When amplified, Erron will kick the damn thing over to the opponent for a more ranged Chomsky. Problem is, the move is extremely slow, like baby's first burr trap level of slow. Oh no, Erron, don't mind me. We're in a fight to the death, but you just take out your scout's manual and see which bit goes where. Seriously, this is one of the worst things about the move. It takes so long that there's no real way to set it up without it possibly being destroyed in half a second, because the trap will break if the opponent so much as sneezes on you. It's like that scene where someone's slowly setting up the last 2 cards in a house of cards. Then the door slams and the guy is left with only cards and despair in their hands. Even worse, it costs 2 slots. No. Let's just scrap this and move to our own customs. And I feel we have a vast variety of options here, though I do think the best ones are going to be coming from improving 52 pickup. Enhanced Locked and Loaded is a must for that free combo option, and Scrubbed Shot is extremely valuable against the zoner. So with that, it's pick what you fancy. Go for the enhanced slide options for more safety and mix-up potential, or like me, you can go for Cattle Toss and get that MKX Erron feel. Or we can go for that big damage and get that armor breaker in Acid Paw, and show that Erron can be good, he can be bad, but he definitely fights ugly. Okay, that's it for the MK9 MKX crew. Hope it gave you food for thought. If it did, don't forget to like, comment, share, subscribe, hit the bell thingy, and follow me on the Twitters. Also, feel free to check out some of my other videos. Who knows, you might find something you like. And finally, tune in next time, where it's only a matter of time as we wrap things up with the MK11 crew. But until that day, this has been Techno Odin. Stay safe, claim skulls, and may the Elder Gods protect you all.